Hello, am I audible? Can you hear me? Uh, okay. So sorry for a few minutes delay. It's just there was some network issue, and we were trying to fix it. My excellent team here went through a little bit of a sweat on their brow, but now they're all back in action again. So thank you for waiting for a few minutes, and we're doing the last part of communications, part 6, which we are talking about body behavior. Okay, so I just want to recap a little bit. So last time we did facial expression, posture, gesture, and proximity. Okay, reading behavior and body language can greatly enhance your understanding of interpersonal communication. Like I said last time, our body language and our way of using our expressions, our gestures, our postures, the way we control our face, the different small little things, they say a lot more than what we actually use words and talk. So our word and verbal is just 30% of our communication, and 70% is what is understood with your expression. So your facial expression is very important. We talked about how to hold a neutral and positive facial expression. Of course, it is there on the Protein People, British Biological Protein People channel. So you can go and have a look at that if you want a recap, right? Then posture, how we hold ourselves, how we keep our spine, how we keep our shoulders, how we hold our shoulders, how we maintain the square, all that becomes important rather than hunching and being a little bit curved, right? Then gestures are what we do with our hands, where our hands are. How we use it for steeple position is when you're understanding things, you're open to ideas, and you're being present in the present. And this kind of positioning is when you're blocking. We talked about all this last time. We talked about this steeple position is when people are actually giving a sermon or they're giving a presentation. They hold it downwards because it kind of focuses the mind, the brain focus. It's connected to the brain, right? So it focuses the brain. So when they're doing this and talking, they're all their thoughts get connected and they are able to talk clearly. So that is also something that I feel can be used to have a better conversation or a communication, right? Then proximity is the closeness. How close are you? When you're talking about closeness, we're talking about whether you need to be that close as well. Especially if you're in a professional setting, you have to keep at least one hand's distance, right? One hand's distance, roughly 1.5, 2 feet, right? So that is something that we also talked about. We talked about through proximity, we understand how close a person is to the person that they're talking to. So if you're talking to your family, you're talking to your friends, you're talking to your kids, you're talking to your spouse, your brothers, sisters, siblings, your parents, then your proximity will probably be almost on them. Like you'll be so close and so comfortable with them that your body, there will be no space. You will be very close to each other. On the other hand, if it is a professional setting like we are right now, I would keep a one arm distance when I'm talking to you. Even if I'm shaking hands with you, there would be a one arm distance, right? Even if I'm showing you something on the computer, I will make sure there is at least a half hand distance. If you're sharing the same screen and we're looking at something or something like that. Same goes for the visual aid. If you're showing the visual aid to your doctor and you're on the same side, still maintain a certain professional distance because it can make someone feel a little uncomfortable, right? Then we also talked about a little bit of body odor, bad breath. When it comes to that distance, we want to make sure that we are feeling fresh and smelling fresh. Okay, it is two things that are very important. Okay, if you're sweating, it's a hot day, you're sweating, you're coming into the clinic that way, take 30 seconds, 1 minute, calm yourself down, wipe yourself off, check your hair, because you all wear helmets, you all are going on bikes. So check all that before you go into the proximity of your doctor. Okay, you have no idea how the doctor is actually going to respond to different things, right? So you have to make sure that there is no barriers coming in from your side. That is what we are all talking about. So now we're going to today talk about tone, pitch, context, consistency, and practice and observation. So these last four topics are actually how you mold your conversation when you are having it with the doctor. Okay, the first four was how you present yourself when you're standing in front of the doctor. Okay, what are the things you need to take care of, what are the needs do you think you do when you are having a conversation. Okay, I'm using the word doctor in a very open manner. It can be with anyone, it can be stockist, it can be with your manager, it can be with your personal relationships, it can be professional relationships, doesn't matter. So understanding all this becomes a habit, a way of life, so you have to practice it. So we'll talk about all these different things, how you will gauge that and mold that to your conversation so that you have a better understanding of things, right? So going into the next one, we're talking about tone and pitch. Okay, so always try, even if someone is it's a very difficult situation and someone is being aggressive or someone is openly talking about something, you have to try and keep your pitch, that means the strength of your voice, pitch is your strength of your voice, as calm, as low as possible. Okay, higher the pitch may indicate excitement or anxiety, while a steady lower pitch often suggests confidence. Okay, so someone has made you upset over something, still as much as possible try and maintain a calmer pitch. All right, so it settles the person in front of you down as well, and it also lets the person know how confident you are. So something like the second picture here, as trying to see if I can use pointer options. Yes, right. So these ones, like calm, peaceful, happy, smiling faces is what you need to do. Even if you're having a conversation that you are not very comfortable with, or it's a conversation that the other person is being very stiff, you have to maintain that kind of calmness. Okay, tone and voice, pace, speaking quickly can indicate enthusiasm or anxiety, depending. Now this is where the body language comes in. I may be talking very very fast, and I'll be very 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 the words are not coming out, and my mind is going in a 19 per dozen and things like that, but my body language is showing enthusiasm rather than anxiety. If I'm feeling nervous, then I'll try and finish my conversation as quickly as possible, which I have noticed a lot of you do when you are detailing, right? So when you're detailing, you just want to finish the detailing and go into the next one. It doesn't really help, because the person who's listening to you cannot understand everything. It is all as the cartoon indicates, it's all a jumble of things. They're not able to separate it and understand everything. So it is very important that we remain calm and be thoughtful about what we are saying. What is the sentences we are saying? Slower the pace down, calm down. Even if you're enthusiastic about someone, the other person has to understand, has to grasp what you're saying. Okay, so for an example, if I tell you a little child coming back from school, lower KG, first standard, coming back from school, something fun happened at school, they'll come and they'll in excitement they just vomit the whole thing out. They'll do verbal diarrhea, as we call it. And we as parents or as guardians, we are trying our best to understand what they are saying, but we cannot, because they are so excited. So what we tell the child, calm down, speak softly, I don't understand what you're saying, tell me again. And they get very irritated that you have not understood. Okay, now this is a very childish way of looking at things, but this is a way of explaining how we need to calm down so that we can have a thoughtful conversation. Whenever you are going to present something new to the doctor, think, rethink, and think again before you present it to the doctor. Okay, now every division that we have has had new launches, right? We have Bilk, Nascent, and Teens Pro, right? So now we are trying to develop our market for these particular products. So then you have to think from that perspective. If I'm going to say this to a dietitian for Teens Pro, then I cannot say the same thing to a gynae. If I'm going to say same thing to the gynae, I cannot say the same thing to a general physician. So you have to rethink, how is it best they're going to understand what I'm going to say, how is it best they're going to like what I'm going to say. All right, so it is not the same conversation. So when we are teaching you detailing, or when you are learning detailing, it is just a basic structure. All right, it is not a basic structure. You follow these points, you will not go wrong. But again, each person, each doctor, each area, each metro is completely different from the other. So we have to know how to tailor our conversation to them, right? So that becomes very important. When we are talking about bilk, where are we talking? We're talking to about bilk to a physician or a government hospital doctor. Who are we talking to? When we're talking about nascent, who is the gynecologist we're talking to? Which area is she sitting in or he is sitting in? So all these things become very important. So we tailor make our conversations according to that. Okay, it is very important that we do that. Then the effort that you're putting has some results. The effort that you're putting will get you some results. Okay, so be always thoughtful of what you're going to say. And I would suggest for people who've had the experience, like our senior BOs or our ABMs, ZBMs, RBMs, they should understand these things and nurture the new BOs that have come into the organization with this kind of understanding. How are we going to bring it forward? Everyone doesn't get the same conversation. We have to have something different for each person, right? I'm sorry, that went a little too fast. My finger is a little too strong. All right, context. Consider the situation and environment. Cultural difference can also affect body language and interpretations. Okay, now I've put a picture that is not related to you, but I just wanted you to see the different body language of the three different ladies here. Okay, they're all in a lab. They're all doing one experiment. They have a book, a notebook where they're reading from and doing the experiment. But see the body language of all three people, right? There is one who's enthusiastic. The lady with the book is very enthusiastic. Then we have a lady who is actually dropping the liquid into the beaker, and she is in full concentration and very, very serious. And we have the other lady who's just sitting and watching, and she's very relaxed. Her body language, you can see, is very relaxed. Shoulders are down, arms are relaxed, there's a smile on her face, and she's just enjoying the entire process, right? So three people doing one thing, trying to get one result, have three different interpretations or three different ways of reacting to it. So that is what body language is all about. That we have to understand, that we have to study that. That becomes very important. Okay, now the lady who's holding the book, check the pen out. Okay, check where the pen is. Okay, though she is probably using the pen to tick mark the procedure in her book, it is actually pointing to the beaker, right? So there is a little bit of anxiety in her body language as well. She's very stiff on her spine. So these kind of things can tell you about a little bit about the person and what they are trying to say or do, right? Consistency is a key. Okay, look for congruence between verbal and non-verbal body language. Means look at the gel between the verbal and non-verbal body language. Okay, if someone is saying they're happy but their body language suggests otherwise, it might be masking their true feelings. Okay, now this is very important. If I'm just going to say, yes, everything is fine, I'm perfectly fine, but my body language, though I'm smiling, the smile is not hitting my eyes, right? I am tilting my head to one side, my shoulders are hunched up a little bit, so it is defensive, right? Though I'm saying yes, everything is fine, we are fine, my body language is not reacting to it. If I say yes, everything's fine, perfectly all right, we are fine, that becomes a different observation. So these are the two different observations that we have to look at. We have to look at what the body is saying and what the mouth is saying. There are sometimes it's a very sharp contrast, right? To understand that, you have to be present. You have to be able to understand, visually look at that and understand that. Okay, so all this becomes very, very important. So body language is not just about is she smiling, is he not smiling, is he looking here, looking. It's all about different things like gestures, small small things that the person does when they are conversing, right? Practice and observation. Now, how do we practice, right? We have a lot of time during the waiting time. We're sitting in the clinic, we're waiting for the doctor to give us time. We have a lot of time. Lift your head up from the phone, don't look at the phone, look around you. Your entire area where you are is your classroom. Okay, you will judge, you will start understanding body language if you pay attention to people. What is that person doing? What is this mother doing? What is that person doing? Not about doing, what are they expressing through body language? And if you have a partner, you can sit and discuss it. If you're having joint field work, you can sit and discuss it with them and see if you can pick the small nuances. Somebody may have a different version, somebody may have a different version, and so on and so forth. It's about training your mind. You have to train your mind and help it to understand these different gestures and postures. Okay, now I have taken a picture where three people are standing together, right? Now three people are standing together, they're having a conversation. From far we can see that, but now understand where all three are actually in the conversation. All right, now if you're talking about the man with the briefcase, okay, his hand is open, so he's trying to relay some conversation, he's trying to give some information. As you can see, the hand is open, the shoulders are hunched a little bit sloped down, so he's not very confident. This doesn't come across as a very confident person. Okay, see, the legs are also parted. Okay, he's relaxed, but there is stiffness because one leg is gone up a little bit, the knee has gone up a little bit, so he's not very comfortable in the position, though he's trying to show them that he's very comfortable in the position. So this person is giving out that gestures and that communication. Now the lady standing there, she's very confident, right? She's standing very confidently, she's dressed very confidently, she's standing very confidently, she has legs apart, but she's putting weight on one leg. Okay, so she is judging, or she is gauging what that other person is saying. Now if you see her hands are held like that. Okay, her hands are not open, they're not relaxed, they're held like that. She's blocking, this is blocking, she's blocking, right? And it's not even her thumbs are up, her thumbs are down, so she's actually relaxed and blocking. She's put her weight on one side, so she's actually not very convinced with what is being said. Okay, now look at the third gentleman, the gentleman in the black suit. His legs are apart like that, like a V, right? As you can see here, his legs are apart like a V. So what is that? Taking information, not letting anything out. Okay, he's holding everything in, he's not wanting to respond in any way. So that is what it's saying. Now hand inside the pocket, showing a very relaxed atmosphere, but he is actually scratching the side of his face. He's about to say no to this person. Okay, he's about to block him in the conversation. Okay, so he has the authority, so he's very relaxed, he has the understanding of the situation, but you see the hand is here. Okay, this is him thinking, do I really want to go ahead with this conversation, do I really want this conversation to move forward? So him thinking like that, like almost what we do when we are seeing something new and we're thinking about it for a little bit. So it is a very relaxed gesture about it, right? So he has got his hand up there, hand in the pocket, the V. Okay, but you see the spine, it's absolutely straight, erect. He is being very defensive right now for himself or his company, right? So he is not very convinced with the conversation that is happening right now, right? So this is how we can understand what is actually happening between these three people, rather than actually listening to the conversation. So this gives you a little bit of an understanding of the whole situation. It is very important that this becomes how you respond to people, or this becomes how you relate to people, right? This is very important. Now going to the next one. Okay, now we are at the tail end of the whole thing. By combining these elements, you can gain deeper insights into people's thoughts and feelings, enhancing your communication relationship. What does that actually mean? It means something very interesting. Now, when you understand other people's body language, when you understand how they are talking, how they are responding, how they are actually saying something and behaving a certain way or something like that, what happens is you will know how to take your next step forward. You will know how to move that conversation towards the way you want it to go. If it is going in this direction but you want it to go in this direction, if they are ready to say no for your nascent and milk and you want to move them to maybe and then a yes, this is what we're going to do, right? We're going to understand that what is it that's becoming a barrier, what is that that's stopping them to connect with you. That is very important. What is the connection missing? When you understand body language, you will realize what is the connection missing, and then you can move it. There are more chances of moving it that way than without understanding it. That is why this is very important, and that is why we have brought it down into two parts rather than one single part. Yes, it is a huge science. There's a very deep rooted understanding of it all as well, and we can do that. We can go into it in a more deeper way, but that will take months and months of study. Okay, so I would like you all to think about these things. I would like you all to come up with some questions if you have any, and yes, email me, WhatsApp me. You all have my number, you have my email address, and we can talk about these things if you want to, right? So thank you very much. We're just going to see if any people have any questions. We're just going to go into the chat. Not possible. Okay, so let me talk a little 2 minutes more about body language. Now, when that happens, when you understand this variation, when you understand what the other person is trying to say but not saying it in words, is when you connect with the other person in a deeper root. You understand the person way of behavior, and you understand how they are comfortable. To make them comfortable is what is necessary for you to have a good conversation. All right, so we are at the end of our time today, and just going to close the session here. We will meet up after 2 weeks, which is I think the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken, 23rd of November. Okay, and we'll have something new for you that time. You should really connect. It's going to be really exciting. All right, I'll see you. You have any questions, we are always available. Thank you. Have a very nice weekend.